What's up everybody, I am the uberonn of normal gaming guys, bringing you some of my personal favorite video games that you may have never played or even heard of, so let's get started. P.O.W. Prisoners of War. First on the list is P.O.W. for the NES, made by SNK in 1989. It's an arcade-ported side-scrolling beat-em-up where you control a buff military prisoner named Bert, who breaks free from his cell and fights his way into the enemy's main base in order to eliminate the leader and escape. Rather, he blows up a whole wall of his cell. How'd he get explosives in a POW camp anyway? But whatever, you fight through 4 stages: the POW camp, a warehouse, the jungle, and the enemy's base, all unique and with great backgrounds. You can punch forwards and backwards, which helps when you're surrounded because that's a constant problem with beat-em-ups. You can kick, jump kick, and use dropped items like grenades, knives, and machine guns, all with great sound effects. It's similar to Metal Gear in that you can sneak into buildings for power-ups like the knife vest and brass knuckles. Solid action and tight controls, you can play this game for free on an emulator or buy the cartridge for $5 or less. Skate or Die 2, The Search for Double Trouble. This game is rad. Remember saying that in the 90s? It's an action-adventure skateboarding game released on the NES in 1990 by EA and is a sequel to an actually inferior game. You play an unnamed hero delivering packages, saving pages of a half-pipe diagram, and you're rescuing kidnapped girls using your paintball gun, eggs, etc., while avoiding hazards and baddies. You collect CDs, tapes, and tacos to barter for new boards, tricks, weapons, and items. Don't want to play through the levels in adventure mode? You don't have to. You can just play the half-pipe level, which is actually pretty good. This game captures the skateboarding culture of the 90s and is just fun to play. Goosebumps: Escape from Horrorland. In the mid-90s, Goosebumps was a huge phenomenon. Author R.L. Stine was writing books for kids and adults and published Goosebumps for kids via Scholastic. Everyone was reading the books and I had all of them. I would read a book every day all the way up until middle school. I remember Mom would pay me 50 cents for each book I read, thinking it was getting me to read more, not knowing that I'd read these books anyway. It even had its own TV show with an awesome intro, and more recently a movie starring Jack Black. This point-and-click game came out on PC in 1996, and is a sequel to the 1994 book, One Day at Horrorland, where kids get sucked into a horror-themed theme park with attractions based on the books, each unique. You play as an unnamed character helping a girl named Lizzie find her brothers Luke and Clay in Horrorland because they got sucked in after using a leftover ticket. Your mission is to live your own adventure, gathering clues, solving puzzles, and free your friends and your friends' parents from evil Madison Storm, who's bringing all these creatures to the park. You gain points from gathered tokens and have to gather pieces of a ticket to get home. Sections of the park are based on books like Scarecrow Walks at Midnight, Monster Blood, Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, Let's Get Invisible, Werewolf of Fever Swamp, A Night in Terror Tower, The Headless Ghost, Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns, etc. You even get to see Jeff Goldblum himself, as a vampire, dance with young Lizzie. Let's move on. Evil Dead Regeneration.
Groovy.
Evil Dead, the grooviest horror cult classic ever made, that made a star out of Bruce Campbell and made him an icon of B-movies before he went on to do Burn Notice and Bubba Hotep. The movies were funny, scary, and gory, and this game captures that perfectly. It's a 2005 game from Cranky Games that starts in the iconic Evil Dead cabin during the events of Evil Dead 1 and 2, where Ash, voiced by Bruce Campbell,
swallow this,
gets inundated with deadites and you slaughter them all. The authorities think Ash killed innocent people and he's convicted of murder and sent to a mental asylum where Dr. Vingo is experimenting with the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, which summons the deadites and all hell breaks loose. Now it's Ash's job to stop Dr. Vingo and put evil back in its place by hacking and slashing using a dual-wielding combo of your trusty boomstick and chainsaw arm with unlimited ammo and awesome finishing moves. You have help in the form of a half-human, half-deadite named Sam, who Dr. Vingo used as a lab rat. He can die, but he's always resurrected and he helps in combat. Ash can also possess him to help solve some of the puzzles. You fill your rage meter and transform into your demonic form from the second movie. This game captures the humor of the movies and the attitude of Ash. By the way, want more Evil Dead? Check out Ash vs. Evil Dead, the new series. It's amazing. Dantes Inferno. Want an alternative to God of War? A good one? Well, in 2010, Visceral released Dantes Inferno, where you play as Dante, a crusader in the Third Crusade who's killed and defeats death, gaining Death's scythe, and fighting your way through the circles of hell based on the Divine Comedy, all to free your wife's soul from Lucifer, and while facing your own demons and redeeming yourself. Each circle's unique, with unique demons and monsters based on limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, anger, heresy, violence, fraud, and treachery. It has great combat and platforming elements. Along the way you meet the souls of famous bad people and can choose to absolve them or not. The game's not perfect, but it's fun to play. It has solid graphics, great storytelling, and is a brilliant vision of hell. And if a game's fun, that's all that matters, even if it's not on par with the God of War series. It really needs a well-made sequel. Stubbs the Zombie, Rebel Without a Pulse. This is a third-person action game from Wideload Games in 2005 where you play as a zombie in 1959, initiating a zombie infection and killing humans and eating their brains to gain health, and to convert them into zombies to fight for you in the town of Punch Bowl. You can direct the horde and you can herd them like cattle. You can even drive vehicles like the sod launcher, jeeps, and trucks. That needs to happen in the upcoming Walking Dead season. Zombies may walk slowly enough for you to get away from them, but just wait until they can start running you over. You can fart to stun your enemies, and you can throw explosive gut bombs. You can use your head as an explosive bowling ball and swipe with melee attacks. You can even rip off the arms of your victims and beat them across the face. It has great models, good animations, good sound, and it's just gory fun. Screw Walking Dead, I've got Stubbs. Still life. Beautiful graphics and a great story. This 2005 game from Microids is a sequel to Postmortem, where you control FBI agent Victoria McPherson in 2004 Chicago investigating a brutal string of murders when, during a short vacation home, you come across an old notebook of your grandfather's, Gustav McPherson, who was investigating similar murders in 1920s Prague. The game cuts back and forth between the two stories. While investigating, you have to solve puzzles and use special items like luminol, so you really do have to think like a detective. The game features a good dialogue tree system and creative and immersive puzzles that are all within the context of the freezing and haunting atmosphere of Chicago and the aged feel of Prague. Atmosphere's the key. The game has great atmosphere. This is a great point-and-click game that you need to check out on PC, not on consoles. Console point-and-clicks don't really work that well just due to the nature of the control mechanics, but check this game out. Clive Barker's Undying. Clive Barker, horror fiction writer, director, and the only person about which Stephen King called the future of horror. He wrote famous short stories like Candyman, and his short story, The Hellbound Heart, was the inspiration behind Hellraiser. This is a first-person shooting survival horror game from 2001 from EA. I got mine as a double pack that came with American McGee's Alice, which is awesome too. It follows 1920s paranormal adventurer and occultist Patrick Galloway, who receives a letter in 1923 from a World War I veteran named Jeremiah Covenant, who needs help with mysterious occult happenings around his estate. When he and his siblings were kids, they found an occultic book of their father's and fell into madness, and now they're all cursed. When they died, they all became undead abominations. You have 8 weapons and 8 magic spells, all that you can dual wield. Sound is phenomenal, and the game is very atmospheric, running on Unreal's 3D graphics engine. Scenery is great both outside and inside the huge mansion. You have to find clues, secrets, etc., while using magical powers to uncover the truth surrounding the happenings, and while fighting demonic creatures. Boogerman, a pick-and-flick adventure. Released for the Genesis and Super Nintendo, this is a side-scrolling platformer from 1994 where you play as eccentric millionaire Snotty Ragsdale, who is Earthworm Jim's rival, posing as a janitor at the lab of Professor Stinkbomb, who's invented a machine to rid the world of pollution by teleporting it all to Dimension Excrement. You're sucked into this dimension after the machine is stolen by a monster, and you follow it into the portal as your alter ego Boogerman, where you have 20 plus levels of booger flicking, farting, and burping at nasty enemies and saving your game at outhouses. The animation's top notch, and your superpowers are burping, farting, hawking loogies, and flinging snot. You refill your powers by picking up snot globs and by eating cans of beans. You gather plungers for extra points, and send burp and fart clouds as powerful projectiles. You collect capes for defensive bonuses, and gather milk for loogie spitting upgrades. The grossness never wears off. Why are there no more games like this? Sure, there was Conker's Bad Fur Day and All Real Monsters, but gross stuff is funny, so I demand more gross games for next-gen consoles. Anyways, not much else to say, it's just a fun and disgusting platformer, and I love it. The Thing. The first Xbox game I ever played, the one with what we call the hamburger controller, officially called the Duke controller, before Microsoft got their act together and started designing good controllers. I remember thinking the graphics were ultra realistic, but nowhere near today's standards, and not even up to the visuals of some games that came later, like Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. This is a horror game from 2002 serving as a sequel to John Carpenter's 1982 movie, which was itself a sequel to The Thing from Another World from the 50s. Carpenter's movie is about a research team in Antarctica who discovers an alien life form that can perfectly imitate other life forms and wants to kill everyone. This game was even endorsed by John Carpenter himself, and he provides an uncredited voice cameo. You're Captain Blake of U.S. Special Forces deployed to U.S. Outpost 31 in Antarctica on a mission to find out what happened to the researchers stationed there and to the nearby Norwegian outpost. NPCs can follow you around, and they include engineers, soldiers, and medics, each with their own abilities. The game is about combat mostly, but also includes a fear-trust system with your NPCs, since anyone could be the Thing. If they get too scared, they kill themselves. You control their fear level by giving items, taking blood tests, etc. There's also an infection system, and tons of Thing-looking monsters and abominations. The game features 3 elements: third-person combat, first-person shooting, and survival horror puzzle solving. You have to effectively use the abilities of your team. Medics heal, engineers fix anything electrical, and soldiers provide the firepower. You have to keep an eye on their mental status. If they see disfigured bodies, or they see you not fighting the aliens, they'll start to vomit and pee their pants. You have to give them ammo, weapons, and shots of adrenaline to calm them down. And there's a variety of weapons and items. I need a Thing game to come to next-gen systems. Can you imagine how awesome that would be? I mean, the Antarctic and the Arctic are perfect settings for a horror game, and we need more of them. Alright, that's it. Hope you go play these games, whether on the original consoles or with emulators. If you want more, let me know in the comments. And let me know what lesser-known games you want me to check out, or that just made an impact on you. See you next time.